Alright, what's going on everyone? Supreme Cobb here. So we are going to be doing, of course, the breakdown for each individual parts over here. So this time around we have a combination of 19 parts to kind of go over. Crossbone being 9 parts and then Astray being 10 parts. So yeah, this video might be a little bit longer, so buckle up, get some food, whatever you got to do because this one's going to be a little bit longer. So let's start up with the Crossbone Gundam Maoh over here. And then in terms of the stat, looking fabulous. But you know, we just had the Kazai Gundam, which I pray a little bit higher than typically, because that guy does have a commander tag, which a lot of shop build does not really have, because there's not a lot of commander in the battlefield, obviously. So that one is exceptional. That one is pretty good. But how do they respond in the following week? They're gonna drop another shop build that is, I would say, I wouldn't say it's on par, but like in terms of stat, yes. But we also gotta dive deep just a little bit below the surface to see how it is, right? In terms of the head over here, it's pretty generic with these kind of like shop build heads, that most of them do have double double buffing in terms of like just shooting power or EXQ power. In terms of this guy over here, this is a pretty activation for both these traits over here. Both conditions are the same when attacking with beam, so you're being limited to using beam EXQ and using beam weaponry, which is fine, right? That's not a big deal, because there are fairly a good amount of like beam oriented EXQ that from like variety of ranges, right? So that one is pretty good. This condition is fairly easy to activate compared to some of the ones, like the harder ones to activate. I would say probably like strike freedom. That's gonna be one right there. Like even the Kasai Gundam does fall back a little bit because of the second part trait only being for the arm. So those are some slight minor, I would say, drawbacks to it. But this one over here, very generic, very good. It was slap right onto any build with no problem. But in terms of this tag over here, we are looking at long range and ace exclusive. Ace exclusive is a stable tag, obviously, right? But in terms of long range, it's one of those more, I would say, in a rising up to into the tiers where people might use it. But this tag is still very limited in ways. The only one I can probably think of where you can kind of like bridge into the builds is gonna be the Wing Gundam Proto Zero. I believe the later half of like in terms of like leg, backpack, shield, I think those portion does have long range, which you can do a pretty good combination of those. I believe the shield does have it, and then the shield from the wing and the Proto Zero is very excellent. So if any of you guys do have it and are planning to run the long range, do correct me if I believe long range is just 150% up or 200% up. If it's 200% up, I think it is a pretty good candidate, because you will be up to 15% for shot and defense, which is very good. But you know, what is it? Commander tag is up to 25. If the calculation is how it works out to be, right? So commander will be the one of the better one to use, but not to say that there are good other option for that 3-star right leg gear, But it's just long range right now. It's just a little bit more of like the underwhelming one, but I would say it's coming up to like a pretty good, decent one if they decide to release a lot more, units with tags that have long range over here. Not bad ahead over here if you guys are looking for a good one, but obviously we have tons already. This one does have pretty good stats, so this one would be a pretty good recommendation rather not to summon on. But rather to summon or not, it really just depends personally if you guys like the unit or not, because you don't have to summon every week, right? There's no need to summon on every week, because like the only real incentive to summoning every week is if you want to get the build project. I think that's the only that's the incentive to get it. If you're someone who's casually like don't really care too much about the build project or have no liking for it, obviously skip these 2 weeks banner, because they're not like the best of the best in terms of the tech. We just kind of reviewed the first part, and I'm kind of saying like the tag is kind of wonky, right? But let's move on to the chest over here. In terms of the stat, you are even a chest over here is better than the Kasai Gundam, right? The first one, place number 1, is obviously going to be the Astray No Name. But that one is a build project, which a lot of people right now, right, as I'm talking right now, is unable to get it unless they have summon on the previous 5 weeks, which this one is not bad instead, but you are going to be locked behind EXQ over here, the Skull Satellite Cannon. They did kind of shaft my boy over here with this. Like every satellite cannon we have got, like the summonable one, like Gundam X, Double X, and then this one over here are kind of like underwhelming in a way. I have no idea why they cannot make these folks into like an S power. Like this one is obviously in like the tier of like the cutscene EXQ cooldown, like 79. So oh boy, but nonetheless, this is far more better than the Double X. I think Double X up to Alteration is only looking at a D, no B power. Yeah, B power. So that's that. This one is pretty good. If you guys do have a liking for the chest, it's something you can Astray. Obviously, in terms of the style wise, you are looking pretty good. But if you guys are planning to put this on the main build for the stat purposes, you're gonna have to do some works onto this. There are pretty good amount of chests that have X exclusive and other tag along with that, so you can get a good combo out of that. On top of my head, I can't really think of one right now, but I would say in terms of viability, I would say the second of last week is by far the better one because you have double buffing trait, double EXQ, and I think EXQ and shooting power up. So that's gonna be, in my opinion, a lot more better. I would say this one is more suitable for like the skin purposes, but you can definitely put this on the main build and then subslot something to get that word that portrait over there. Not a bad chest over here, obviously. Alright, so moving on to the arm over here, what are we looking at? In terms of style, we are looking at rank number 2. Just slightly fall behind the Kasai Gundam. I don't know why I'm compared to the Kasai Gundam, right? why am I doing that? I think that one is just like on top of my head. Like this, I just kind of reviewed it right just last week, so I kind of have a fresh memory of that. So that's why I'm just kind of like rambling back onto that guy over there. In terms of the EXQ over here, I would say this is a valid set of portrait or EXQ, not EXQ, portrait over here. Because with speed attribute, that is one restriction right there. With speed attribute, shooting power does get a raise by or buff boost by 30%, which is not bad. Lock into that T attribute. And then while long range is active, EXQ cooldown reduced by 20%. So this is that's good. I like the fact that they're diversing it to other typing because mainly or normally a lot of P attribute does have this EXQ cooldown over here. I think having another additional would be a pretty good one over here. But let's talk about this portrait over here. So there are 2 restrictions over here. You have to run this on a T attribute. If you run this on any other build, you are kind of screwed. So make sure you guys are using this over here. You have to be using an S attribute. And then the second downfall is going to be this over here because, like I said, I think long range. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have been running long range as a third option. I think that option is pretty niche because I think a lot of long range tags doesn't really have that many good parts except for this one and then the Gundam Proto Zero. I think those 2 are the only quote unquote like the limited time ones, but other than that, the other choices aren't quite as good. If you guys are someone who runs long range as a tag, this one will benefit you greatly than those who don't. So if you don't run long range, I wouldn't suggest you guys start farming out or start level 99 all your everything, all your long range part to that level 99 because that's gonna be tons of resources and capital drain just from that. I don't highly suggest that. This is one of those, like, if you are working on that already, yeah, go ahead, use it, but right. But if you're someone that doesn't prioritize for long range, this one is a hot skip for sure. Just because of the second portrait, you can't really activate that, so that's not going to be anything good. Alright, in terms of the later half of the body, the leg, and the backpack, their stat are not as overwhelming. So the first speed, I would say, is a pretty good option to Alterate, obviously, just pure stat, and then you can always subslot that to something else. In terms of the leg over here, what do we have here? An EXQ over here, the Crossbone sword over here. So this is like a beam slash that does like a projectile beam. Does have a pretty good range as well. It says right here, send out a blade-like shockwave from your equipped sword over here. So in terms of the EX skill, I would say it's more of your own personal preference, because this guy does not have the most fantastic stats. So even if you do put this on like a main build or like a sub slot, I don't think it will benefit you as much. Another tag over here coming out of a long range and high firepower, which is just having that long range might not be the good option at that moment. So this one, I would say, if you have the leg, it's something you can probably just skip for now, because there's not really that big benefit from alterating this leg over here, in my opinion. Maybe you do like the EX gear and do want to get a little bit more power out of that. If that is the case, be my guest and alterate that. Alright, in terms of the backpack over here, so I do want to rant about like them doing what is it, the last time we have the X Maoh, and then this time the Crossbone Maoh over here. I don't know why they like to slap in a lot of melee oriented EXT onto this guy. I mean, I guess this fits right back into Yasuko Maoh's like background, because he's from, I don't know what was that martial arts school he was in, but I guess that kind of ties into that, to his whole background. But like, it just doesn't really justify for the overall suits, right? Because this one obviously should be like a, they should have thrown in a lot of good shot based EXQ, but not the case. This is another one of those cutscene EXQ on the same caliber as any other one. This gave a melee buff to your squad by 49%, so that's a pretty good marginal buff over there. But unfortunately, that is the only effects you're gonna get. You're not gonna get any other like benefits. Those some does have like speed increases, or like some health restoration or armor restoration, which we're not getting over here. So this kind of devalues it just teeny tiny bit, because compared to the other one that have some additional effects, they cap out the race at 39%, which, I mean, 10 more percent, it is what it is, right? This is, I would say, if you want to alterate it, do it at your own cost, I would say, because the stat you guys have seen is not too impressive. So even after alteration, like I said, for the leg, it's not gonna give you that much benefit out of that, except just putting into the slot, to the sub slot, not sub slot, the skin. So this one is, I would say, highly in your own opinion, whether or not you like it or not. Alright, so we have 2 melee weapon and 2 rifle. So we're gonna quickly powder them and then move on to the turn red. Right, in terms of the melee weapon, I think this one is probably one of the better one. Like, if you have to pick in between this one and the saber, I would say this one is better, just because you are looking at a pretty good set of portrait over here. But there are some obviously limitation being locked behind a long range, and then this one is only dedicating to the back part, so that might not be the most flexible choices for you all. But you know, there's always a lot more better option up there. If this is not something that you can fulfill, feel free to skip it for now, because I want to say to invest for future purpose, for future proof, because in the future there's always going to be a lot more better parts, a lot more like, in terms of usability and versatility, it's going to be a lot more easier than this one over here. So why waste 5 million just to alterate it when like maybe a week or two, like, oh, there's a better version of the sword, like, okay. So I wouldn't say this one is a must to alterate. Just look at this over here, double EX giving buff. It looks so amazing, right? But do have to think about some of this limitation and some restriction that we are facing here. So this one, I would say don't alterate it if you can't really fulfill these 2 requirements over here. In terms of the tag, we are looking at a long range over here. So a long range is going to be stable for this whole unit over here, because they are kind of like expanding it a little bit to have a little bit more viability with these kind of tags over here, because they know a lot of tags are not, does not receive a lot of love. So they got to do something about that, right? So this one, yeah, skip it if you have to. Moving on to the beams, BAM over here, we got long range and Gundam type again. 2 okay decently tags over here. In terms of the portrait over here, we have one of these. I would say the top one is more for like utility uses over here, raising your job gauge by 17%, may be helpful to some, but in my opinion, I don't really take advantage of these over here. raising my job gauge. Because if you have a 3-star left arm, you enter the battle with 80% of your job gauge full already. So just having another additional 17% is not gonna make any your case a lot more better, right? So that's why I would say these are not the most important. With second portrait, with speed attribute, EX skill, charge boost, initial EX skill charge boost by 20%. So these are always good, but like I said, there's a better pairing. I'm pretty sure somewhere out there that is not tied into like a job increases over here. So I would say this one devalues it just a little bit. So both the melee weapon, I would say don't alterate it. All right, the B and the Zambester over here. So what are we looking at in terms of the tags? It looks exactly the same as the saving one over here. So may not be a good option depending on the tags you guys are running per your builds. Obviously everyone's gonna have a different types of pairing up to do. So this one just but let's see what are we doing over here. Okay, I see a crit raise by 40%. That is automatically a no already. So that is like if I'm scoring this out of like 100 points, this one is already at 65%, so not passing already. With speed attribute, shooting power does get a boost by 30%, but there are a lot more better choices out there. Being this one is a shot boost base, the shot attack is on the lower tier in a way. There's a lot more better ones out there. So I would say this one, I would not recommend this one for alteration as well. Alright, so talking about the Trident rifle over here. So in terms of the Trident rifle here at max stat over here, same stat as the other one obviously over here. So in terms of tag over here, you are looking at long range again, and then the high firepower, which is I think is a little bit more better than just having that Gundam type. Obviously it's not Gundam type, right? Ace exclusive with the other one. Let me see, I think I'm getting mixed up with the other one. Yeah, Gundam type. Yeah, Gundam type is okay. But let's see the traits over here. In terms of the trait, you are looking at a double EX skill buffing over here. The first one being you have to have a melee attack down by 10% is not too bad. But the second portrait is only for that torso, so it's gonna buff specifically for that skull satellite cannon, which is okay, right? But you want to sub in some other EX skill, this will not get the benefit out of that. So I would say this one is being a little bit too selfish in a way. Just strictly buffing that satellite cannon, which is not saying it's not bad, but if you want to run like a backpack EX suit, that's not gonna get the benefit out of that. So overall, I would say the Crossbone does have pretty good parts. I would say like the head, chest, and arm does have pretty high stats. But in terms of something you want to alterate, I mean like the arm is something considerable, I would say. Let me see. I think this one, maybe this one would be a good option if you can fulfill this kind of requirement over here. Other than that, I would think this one is a pretty hot skip if I would say so myself. So now let's move on to the straight turn red. Okay, so I am actually doing the straight red turn red again, a new recording, because I recorded one already, but the audio sounded so bad for some reason, so I am redoing it right now. So we do have 10 parts to talk about, so I think I'm gonna just talk a little bit more, condense a little bit for this one. So we're gonna take a look at the head to begin with. In terms of the stat, you're obviously looking at pretty high stacking. This one does come in at rank number 1 currently for the melee division over here. That's because you got a what? Like, tell me what month we're in and what we're approaching that 2-year mark, and they decided to throw a head Vulcan onto this guy over here. Like, good job, Bandai. Good job. Or the developer, right? I think the last one we have seen to have a head Vulcan was not too long ago, actually. Never mind. The Bill Strike Galaxy Cosmo actually does have a head Vulcan, which is like, I'm just sitting here like, why? I'm just thinking to myself, why would I do this to this kind of parts? 5k, like, you can't really waste 5k 5k melee attack with that change gear. So the best case scenario is to sub in a good option. I'm pretty sure there's a pretty good option, but the second problem is thinking about tags. This guy does have Gundam type. Yeah, what year are we in? You have Gundam type on a melee build? Okay, this is a pretty funny joke here. So I would say the overall value of the head kind of diminished by a whole lot. A, you have that EX skill. B, you have a bad part trait over here. You can kind of do like easy fix with sub slot. Just get pro tag or any other of the good sorts. So just having a Gundam type kind of ruins it in terms of sub sliding because you are limited. So this is not good. Not good. But if you purely want to stat and you want to sub slot something out, yeah, go ahead. That's gonna be an excellent choice already. In terms of I would say a good part is probably gonna be the chest over here. On base melee attack, look at that. We are looking at 4K already. Got caught in 4K, excuse me. Yeah, 4K base off, just right off the bat, and then you have a 6K melee and shot defense. Like, wow, that's really good. That is because you kind of sacrifice some armors and some shot attack, which you don't need on a melee build. Coming in at 6K in total with that change gear. So rank number 1 currently. That's pretty excellent. I did alterate that myself over here. Let's take a look at the part tray. You do have double buffing over here, 1 melee power boost, and then 1 EX power boost, which is excellent over here. But this one is kind of selfish, only boosting that back parts over here. So your other EX skill, like in terms of late EX skill, arm EX skill, or any other one, it's not going to take benefit of that. So that's one thing you have to be careful over here if you do decide to run the chest over here. But I highly recommend doing this one just because of the pure stat over here. Not too many things to complain about, except another bad trait over here, or bad tag, excuse me, Gundam type. So overall, I did alterate it. I didn't really need to, because I was able to nullify using like Gundam type. I didn't really need to subslide anything else. So that was pretty good in my favor. So in terms of the arm over here, yet again, Gundam type is reappearing, haunting everyone on that melee build over here. In terms of the overall stat, this ranking number 2 does have a portrait. You can in theory subslide itself to get the maximum output or the maximum boost over here. So base melee attack 9K already, and that double defense 5K, so good, approaching that 6K. But the one caveat we're gonna be seeing over here is the second portrait. When Gundam type is active, enemy special shooting power reduced by 30%. Are you kidding me? This is some kind of joke. Like, they made the stats so good, but they're gonna give you a little bit of a caveat, a little bit of a something to work for. That's gonna be the part trait over here. So just with that over here, I think this doesn't really deserve a good alterate. Like, don't really need to alterate it, because I think it just kind of devalues it a little bit. I think there's a lot more option out there, obviously. The build project, the build strike cost Galaxy Castle was a good option. It was only 300 less than this one over there, and that one had a double buffing. So yeah, that one is a lot more better with better portrait. This one does have Gundam type again, so that's gonna diminish its value by a lot again. Alright, moving down to the leg over here, we are looking at pretty good stacking again, because we are running it on an EX skill over here. So these are mainly quote unquote to be on the, like on a skin nowadays. You can still put on your main builds, no problem. This coming at 5,500, but you are that EX skill over here. But this one does have a better part trait, so we are in luck over here. You do have a replacement to a high firepower, which you can obviously do a lot more better things with high firepower than Gundam type. I think with high firepower you can do just a little bit more in terms of finding better sub slot option over here for a good portrait. In terms of the EX skill over here, the servant bites over here, I would say if you want a servant bite EX skill specifically, you like it for some reason, you can head over to the permitted alteration and pick go ahead and pick the blue frame. I believe the blue frame leg also has the servant bite, if I'm not mistaken. I know one of them does have servant bites, so this one is not the best type of EX skill over here. But if you do like it, be my guest and alterate it if you don't like it. But I don't really suggest alterating this kind over here. Alright, moving on to the big boy over here, the double or the twin. What is it? Tactical arms over here. The EX skill is going to be the turn over the red. Alicia combo using the tactical arms blaze equipped it on in your hands. Raise speed of your squad by 20%, which is good, not too bad. And then raise melee attack of your squad by 39%. That's pretty generic right there. They're also gonna raise melee defense of your squad by 19%. So that's a little extra caveat. This whole thing or the whole effect would have been a little bit been better if they would have added a hell restoration instead, but nonetheless this is pretty good as well. In terms of the stat, you are not looking too bad at all. This coming at 4,700 would be a good option, but that base attack is so low. So I would say this one is more suitable for being run on the skin as well. Does have pretty good tags as well, close combat obviously, and high firepower for that good trade-off if you do need to subsidize something, right? So this one is good. I think we should alterate the backpack for the custody skill. That really depends on yourself. If you guys do pack a lot of custody skill dedicated to the back part already, and you don't have too many liking for this one over here. Obviously I saw the animation for the turn over the red. There's a lot of good spinnings action over here. It's actually quite long as well, so if you guys do like those cinematic-ish kind of scene over here, I think this one may be for you. But if you really want to be a little bit more functional, something that gets the job done and you have it already, there's really no need to alterate it anyway. So moving on to the next three melee weapons over here. So we do have three different typings over here. We got the sword, the dual saber, and a singular saber over here. So by far, if I have to rank which one of the three you want to get, this one may be a good option, but this one, if you take a look at the portrait, pretty good, right? Just purely look at it, it's good. When P attribute, melee power boost by 30%, that's excellent, pretty standard actually. When one enemy is down, one enemy is down, EX skill power boost by 35%. But the one caveat is this one you have to get one enemy rid of, so that means you cannot really use it into like a single boss multi-mission. That's gonna be out of the picture of this one. Even like arena 1v1 arena, this you cannot really take advantage of it. So this one is more suitable for like the longer-ish or more enemy type of event. So if you do want this kind of EX skill over here, I mean, I guess, but I would rather have something that you can activate right onto the spot without having any hindrance in its way. So this one I'll kind of hold off onto rather not to alterate. For you guys, or I think you guys should find better option instead of using that one. All right, moving on to the trend. Actually the armor Snyder over here. What are we looking at over here? All right, so before we do anything else, the tags Gundam type, no good. Why do they keep low power? Excuse me. Why do they keep putting Gundam type on these guys over here? Like, okay. So even the portrait over here, you do need Gundam type. Initial EX charge boost by 20%. So these are pretty common. But I would think if you are putting this on a full on melee suit, I don't think this one is gonna be a good option as well. Test after 10 seconds has passed. Reduced cooldown by 50% over here. So this one is kind of incentivize you to use all your A skill within the first 10 seconds. But this is gonna be a problem, right? If you don't have high enough initial charge, you will not even be able to execute any of your EX skills. So this is a joke right here, obviously, right? But you do have the first portrait that kind of helps boost your EX skill first time usage, so that is gonna be good in conjunction to this one. So but like I said, this one may not be the best option, so not gonna be too worried about alterating that. I think the beam saber is the more deserving one of the three over here, because if you guys take a look, there's not too many restriction over here, being you have to use physical weapon to, or yeah, just any physical attacks in order to get the EX skill power boost by 30%. I think this one is a little bit more justified or easy to do compared to like the one we have, like the other two weapons over here. Second portrait obviously excellent over here when you have close combat active. So in terms of tech, you are going to be thrown under the bus with that Gundam type, but you can't really do anything about that. This one I would say for a melee weapon, you highly want to sub-slot itself, unless you want to go for like a big 120 scale Alteration. So moving on to the beam rifle now. In terms of the beam rifle over here, not looking too bad as a set as well, but you're not gonna be. But in terms of the melee, because this one is only relying on that melee defense, so this one may not be the best option as well. You do have to good attacks as well, close combat and Gundam type. But in terms of the portrait over here, I see crits automatically turn up by that, so this one, in my opinion, is probably you can skip as well because the second portrait is locked behind that leg part as well in order to gain that EXQ power boosted by 35%. So this is not going to be a good option as well. So you can just skip the rifle as well. In terms of the shield, in terms of shield right now, so far is ranked number 1 in terms of the melee stats. That really high melee base coming at 3,000 with that a monstrous 60k for both defenses over here. In terms of tags over here, Gundam type kind of ruins the day already, so not really going to be looking at it again. In terms of the portrait over here, you do have it. When P attribute is active, enemy shooting power reduced by 30%, which is something pretty good. If you guys do want to run that defensive build, this is a good choice to do it. But the second portrait, not going to be too good because this one is specifically for the EXQ buff time up by 30%, which is not too helpful in a way. It is helpful, but it would have been a lot more better if this one is more of in the lines of like buffing just EXQ effects. I think that one will be 10 times better than just having this one over here. So overall, I would say it's a mixed feeling over here. Yes, there are parts you want to alterate, but either like the tags are kind of wonky at first, like, or the portrait is just like, come on, I can't do it. So I would say the chest is something I highly recommend, like because I did alterate it myself for the other one. I was gonna hold off onto it because these are not like the must-have kind of parts over here. So but with that being said, hopefully you guys do enjoy this quick review for these two units over here. And then with that being said, I will catch you all on the next one.